What's up, everyone? It's DeAnna Lorraine, and you are on Making Love Great Again. It is Wednesday, August 1st. We're at the start of a brand new month. Can you believe it? Is it just me, or has this year been flying by so fast it is scary? Didn't it just seem like it was New Year's and we were making our New Year's resolutions and whatnot? Really crazy. Anyways, we will be right back. Don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back with Making Love Great Again. Woohoo! We're in the middle of a romance apocalypse. There are more single adults than ever before. Marriage is on the decline. The birth rate is at the lowest point in history. People are not connecting and forming real relationships. For the first time in human history, the very concepts of marriage and romance, God, the family, gender, and even our national anthem are under attack. Our American values have been slowly deteriorating and replaced with liberal, progressive values. We're in the middle of not only the romance apocalypse, but a war on our very souls. Speaking the truth is called hate speech. Patriotism is now called racism. Believing in God makes you a bigot. The current state of America is directly intertwined with the current state of our relationships. We are actively enslaving ourselves into a loveless, joyless, genderless future. Men and women of common sense and a moral compass need to wake up to the destructive madness that is being thrust upon us in the name of progressiveness and political correctness, and look ahead to where this ideology and agenda are ultimately taking us. We can make love great again. We can make America great again. But we need to remember who we are. We need to remember the spirit and the values that once made this country and our relationships so great.
This is a struggle for the survival of our nation, and this will be our last chance to save it. This election will determine whether we're a free nation or whether we have only the illusion of democracy, and we will make America great again.
Woohoo! Don't you just love that line? I'm DeAnna Lorraine. What's up, guys, and welcome back to Making Love Great Again. How's everyone doing today, first of all? First, I want to just check into the chat rooms, make sure all the communications are doing fantastic, so we don't have any glitches. Hi, guys. We've got, all right, Periscope is all good and working great. YouTube Live, working great. Twitch, Twitter, everything's working fantastic. We've got Tyler in the house. We've got Shooter Down Under in the house. Russ. Who else do we have in the Making Love Great Again family? Thank you. It's actually not an orange top. It's an orange dress, as usual. And it is, I don't even know if it's orange, but maybe the color is mandarin. One of my favorite colors, mandarin. So, guys, what are you grateful for this morning? Eugene, you're grateful for me. Thank you. And I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for all of you guys. You're fantastic. Your support, your love, your encouragement. And by the way, every time you leave a positive comment on my YouTube channel, even if I don't respond right away, because I can't respond to all of them, and I'm sorry, I wish I could, but I can't necessarily respond to all of them, but I always see it. And believe me, it helps tremendously because there's so many negative comments. You know, I'm caught in between a rock and a hard place right now. I'm kind of caught in between MGTOW and feminists. And feminists hate me, but it seems that MGTOW men also hate me too. So I've got like a small demographic, it appears, that actually get my message and that love it and it resonates with. And, you know, so when I get so much hate messages every day, it really, really makes my day, and it brightens my smile when I get a loving and encouraging message on Facebook or YouTube or here So thank you so much. Your support is what gets me out of bed every morning, and it's what gets me doing what I'm doing, and it keeps confirming that God did put me on this path for a reason, and I'm going to keep charging ahead and fighting this fight because I love love, I love relationships, and I love America, and I won't let it go down without a fight. That's me. So I appreciate all of you guys on this extraordinarily hot summer day. Okay, so guys, we got a cool show for you today. We've got another guest for you. Yes, we've got another guest for you. He's a really great guy. I also met him at the men's conference in London. His name is J. Stephen Svoboda, and he's the founder and executive director of Attorneys for the Rights of the Child. And he's a really interesting man. He also read my book, and he's doing a review on it. But I watched an incredible video in the men's rights conference last week about male circumcision. And it's an uncomfortable topic to talk about, but we are going to talk about it for a little bit here when he's on the show, and he'll be coming at about 1:30 via Skype. So we're talking about male circumcision and some other things that, you know, are a part of the men's rights movement that are unfair practices for men. So we are going to be discussing that with our wonderful guest, Stephen Svoboda, and he'll be joining us about 1:30. Cool. So, I'm getting some people in the chat room saying, stand up, you want to see the dress. Well, I'm standing up, and here's the dress. It is a cute summer dress. Okay, that's about it. You guys always make me do things for you. No, I'm kidding. Happy to do anything for you guys. We've got Big Boy Dontel in the house, Will Anderer, and Tyler G. I love all of you guys. So, what do we got on the docket today? We've got some interesting things. Let's see what we want to discuss first. Well, one thing that is interesting is the whole issue about the blueprints for the 3D printed guns. So let's show you this real quick. Can someone please explain this to me? I'm probably going to sound so naive here, but I'm trying to understand exactly what's going on with these 3D printed guns. So let me show you real quick. We're going to cross on over here. All right, so you guys have been hearing all the hullabaloo about these 3D printed guns that are plastic or plastic pieces. So we're going to show a little clip here, and then I want your feedback on what this means for us.
New Jersey and Washington State barred Cody Wilson and his company called Defense Distribution from uploading instructions for making 3D printable guns online. Ruling Judge Robert Lasnik of Washington State's Western District said, quote, "There is a possibility of irreparable harm because of the way these guns can be made. Now, law enforcement authorities are expressing relief and citing concerns about public safety."
If it fires once too many. Because if it's an undetectable weapon, it can get into an airport. It could be left behind a crime scene where there's no way for officers or very limited opportunity for officers or deputies to investigate that further.
Defense Distributed, a Texas-based company, first tried to publish its 3D printing instructions online in 2013, but was quickly shut down by the Obama administration's State Department. The company subsequently reached a settlement with President Trump's State Department this past June that allowed them to start publishing today, August 1st, a decision many critics disagreed with and sought to pin on President Trump directly.
He's got a chance to issue an executive order to just put an end to it, to just tell his own administration to reverse position. He has not done it yet.
He's the president. He can tell his administration what to do. It's in his hands.
But the White House insisting today that the safety and security of all Americans is the president's highest responsibility and priority. Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley pointing out the administration remains committed to a 20-year-old law that makes it illegal to own or make plastic guns of any kind, including those made on a 3D printer.
Okay, so there's that. Can anyone please, who understands this, explain this to me a little bit more? Again, I'm trying to, whoops, wrong room there. I'm trying to figure this out. Because it seems, I don't quite get it. So people are owning these 3D printing machines that are printing in plastic, and then they basically can download the instructions for these printed guns and then print them themselves. Is that what's going on? Whoever's familiar with guns would love for you to educate me. The problem with 3D printed guns is that they tend to be more dangerous to the user than the target. I mean, are they completely accurate and they're exactly the same as regular guns? Why would people want to get 3D printed guns when they can get a gun in a store the right way? That's my concern. If you can get it the right way, then why would you want to get it the wrong way when a gun that's untraceable? Doesn't that seem like it's a recipe for someone who's going to be a criminal? Someone who's going to cause harm? Shoot, that would make sense given if it's going to be a plastic gun and also it's something that's a new technology that is not well tested yet. 100% plastic guns are illegal. Well, my thing is if it's not out in the open, then there must be some kind of an issue with it, right? If things are not out in the open, then there must be some criminal reason for that thing. That's my thing on it. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't done enough research on it. From the research I've done on it, it seems like it's an untraceable thing. It's secretive, and to me that screams criminal. But we'll see. On to the next one. The next story of the day. Okay. Impeachment army. We've got a whole impeachment army going on here. It's not just one thing. It's an entire impeachment army. This is scary, guys. Democrats who are pushing for the impeachment of President Trump will have $110 million to spend on the cause, thanks to the efforts of left-wing billionaire Tom Steyer. How disgusting is Tom Steyer? I'm sure you've seen his commercials on TV that all he talks about is impeach President Trump. No matter what, we're going to find a crime. Basically, that's his message. And he's just sitting there trying to get the guy impeached for no reason. And how sick is it that he's gained $110 million to the cause? Let's just read a little bit of it, and then I'll go for your reaction. Steyer's organization's Next Gen America. Yeah, next generation. You mean the next generation will be a third world country? If we guys have your own way. Need to impeach. I love how transparent that is. Need to impeach. We'll also have a combined 1,000 employees and 2,000 staffers as they take the case for impeachment of voters in November. So sick, so sick and vile. Though House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi has discouraged impeachment talk, sure, grassroots Democrats favor the idea. Politico reports Tom Steyer plans to spend at least $110 million, making the billionaire investor the largest single source of campaign cash on the left. Well, I'm sure he's also getting money from Soros and, you know, many change.org, moveon.org, whatever, all of Soros's left-wing organizations and the other globalist powers that be. Steyer is building out an operation that's bigger than anyone's thought, other than the Koch brothers, and the millionaire and his aides believe the reservoir of non-traditional voters he's already activated could become the overriding factor in House and other races across the country. Now, I must say, as absurd as a lot of people think this is, we have to be a little bit worried about this. Between the two organizations, he'll have close to 1,000 people on staff in addition to over 2,000 volunteers. And the need to impeach email list alone has topped over 5.5 million. This is scary. Their list is bigger than the NRA's, and we're going to make sure that it votes that way in 2018. This really is an army. You know, this is not just an innocent, you know, benign, silly thing we can write off like, oh, you know, Tom Steyer, not a big deal. This is a big deal, and I think people need to be really worried about this because, as we've seen in the past, liberals fight dirty. They don't fight fair. They fight very dirty, and they're evil people that will try to impeach Trump at any cost. They will try to get him out of power, even if he doesn't deserve it. They will lie, cheat, and steal, and possibly kill and do many other things to get him out of office. So we should be very afraid, and we should be that much more mobilized and energized to make sure that he remains in power and that the Republicans remain in power in 2018. What do you guys think about this army? I think it's pretty scary. I have to search for real news because in the EU, we are in the left side nowadays, so thank you. Absolutely, you can count on the real news coming here. But if they impeach him, that just means that Mike Pence is going to step into power. Well, if it works for Trump, then it will work for Mike Pence. I mean, it will be a domino effect, I have to say. It's just really scary that they are that scared of power. I mean, you have to wonder too, why are they so scared of him remaining in power? What are they so terrified that he's going to find or that he's going to do? You know why, because they're hiding much worse things in their own closet, way worse skeletons, and that's a fact. So if they want, I really feel the more scary and desperate they get, the more they have to hide, like cockroaches, right? So that's a pretty scary thing, but the young voters are low information voters. All they learn is what they're being spoon-fed in their radical leftist colleges and the likes of Tom Steyer. So we should be worried, but we should be very, very energized to vote and not sit on our haunches. That is a fact. Well, I know it's not going to happen. I'm just basically stating how stupid they really are because we know they don't want... Right, Mike Pence is even way more conservative than Trump, right? Way more conservative. That's why it's funny. Well, someone got some balls here, and it was a Japanese politician. Japanese politician under fire for calling LGBT community unproductive. A Japanese politician has come under fire for questioning whether LGBT taxpayers should receive equal welfare benefit to the rest of Japan. Lower house members Mio Sugito called gay couples unproductive and wondered whether it was appropriate to spend taxpayer money on them in an article published on Wednesday. That's pretty funny. Actually, I shouldn't be laughing about that, but she has previously denied the existence of comfort women. Victim blamed the leader of Japan's Me Too movement. Great, Japan has a Me Too movement. And garners more than her fair share of media attention for a junior lawmaker. So, I wouldn't necessarily say that homosexuals are unproductive, but I do think it's fair to say that gay rights movement, the gay rights parades and the pride parades are pretty unproductive. I don't really think that produces anything or solves anything, nor do I think it's productive to just kind of be in the gay culture and party your life away and just go, it's all about drugs, sex, and rock and roll, instead of just being a productive member of society who happens to be homosexual but doesn't use that as his main identity in life, right? He's just a normal functioning person of society, which a lot of them are. So let's see. What else is next that I wanted to talk to you about? Talked about the guns, which is very strange. Oh, of course. Now we have you noticed that there's a strange trend of breastfeeding openly these days? Of popular figures breastfeeding openly. Yeah. Very weird. So breastfeeding model recalls walking the Sports Illustrated swimsuit runway. It felt natural. To me, that looks pretty pedophilic. I'm sorry. I don't think so. So we got Sports Illustrated swimsuit models walking down the runway while breastfeeding their child. I don't think that's right. Have a little modesty, ladies. Let's see what she has to say. Mara Martin made major waves in Miami when she hit the 2018 Sports Illustrated Swim Search runway show, breastfeeding her 5-month-old daughter, Aria. Why? Why do we have to do that? I know why, because they're going to start normalizing it. That's why. Every time you see a popular figure pop their head out like this in a public way, that's something shocking, it means that's their first step towards normalizing it. They're normalizing vulgarity. They're normalizing pedophilia. Watch closer. It's going to start happening. Martin spoke to Fox News about what it was really like strutting her stuff, how she's handling the criticism, as well as the special message she has for Sports Illustrated swimsuit cover girl and mom-to-be Kate Upton. Let's just read one of her statements. We often don't see a model breastfeeding their child on the runway. What happened? Well, I would have to take you back to the beginning. There was a Sports Illustrated casting call. I'm a new mom, a stay-at-home mom, and my fiance works full-time, so I just took her with me because this has been a dream of mine for a very long time. And C was okay with me, Sports Illustrated was okay with me taking my daughter. Yep, there she is. All breastfeeding. She was part of the whole process, and everyone got to know her. And then they asked me if I wanted to walk down the runway with her as part of a mommy and daughter look. She was dressed and happy to go. But, you know, what other people were breastfeeding? Well, let's show you this real quick. There's been a lot of weird people breastfeeding. How about this one? Candidate breastfeeds in campaign ad. Kelda Royce is a Democratic candidate in Wisconsin's gubernatorial race who helped ban bisphenol A in baby bottles and sippy cups in states. So this is another strange breastfeeding occasion where she's breastfeeding in public.
Bisphenol A is a neurotoxin. She said, I know. Oh, honey. It's okay. Yeah. And I hear her calling after me. And she said, I just read that you are working on the BPA Free Kids Act.
Great, but why do we need her to be breastfeeding in a national public ad?
That was an incredible moment because you realize how totally important the work that we do is.
It's really just an attempt to push the boundaries, right? It's just, for me, it's taking away modesty. It's taking away just the sacredness of the naked body, that the naked body was reserved for our significant other. It was reserved for us to be in love. You know, it really wasn't reserved for us to be just openly showing it for everybody, I think. And I believe it's just another form of just normalizing vulgarity, lack of modesty, and even steps towards open pedophilia and acceptance of pedophilia. Because even though it doesn't seem like that is pedophilia, there's so many more of these things kind of coming out. Watch for it. Watch for more movies coming out where babies are the stars of them. Or shows coming out where babies are the stars. And they're adultizing the babies. The babies act like adults. Or they're doing kind of slightly sexual acts. Keep your eyes open for that, because that is actually more steps towards normalizing pedophilia. And in fact, they are thinking of, the LGBTQIA community is thinking of adding minor attracted persons to the LGBTQIA label as just another sexual identity, minor attraction. Scary, right? Anyways, on to the next one. Here's the Everyday Feminism, everydaygarbage.com, talking about white privilege and what we can do about it. Let's hear what they have to say about white privilege. I love hearing their advice. Please, Everyday Feminism, tell me your advice. This is how to check your privilege when asking people of color for their labor. Gosh, I love when they give me advice on what to do as a white person. Okay, I am tired of talking about labor. When I went through a recent trauma, I tried to put up boundaries around my time, space, and labor. Boundaries? Okay. The day it happened, I tried to say no to a white person's request for it. Wait, actually, I did say no. God, this is so ridiculous. I can almost not get through this article. When you have to say no twice, you sometimes forget that you were already refused. Or you can be left confused about whether or not you were being clear enough. Every time I've had to say no more than once, I was being gaslighted, which is a tactic in which a person or entity, in order to gain more power, makes the victim question their reality. Tell us how white people gaslight you, please. Unfortunately, gaslighting has been a common feature in my journey as a professional of color. Oh my God. In that specific experience, the person denied me my pain. They did not take my no for an answer, even though I made my boundaries clear. As a result, I replayed the conversation over and over, wondering how my no was bulldozed into a squashed mess of confusion and labor-induced exhaustion. Oh my gosh, you poor thing. White people, would you feel safe in my shoes? White people, what would you do to ensure the safety of the black people and people of color who work with you and for you? Oh my gosh. If you are exhausting and hurting black and non-black people of color around you because you won't take no for an answer when you request labor from us, you are no better than the other white people you are attempting to work against. Wow. Well, I have to say, I have to wonder, are these in the conditions of work? I mean, are you employed by me? If you are employed by me, then you better believe it. I'm going to ask you to do your job. I'm going to demand that you do your job, or else your butt is going to get fired. That's how work works. That's how employment works. So is this more just like an excuse to normalize laziness in black people or people of color? Is this basically like a way to say that people of color or black people don't need to work hard, and if they just want to say, no, I don't feel like working right now, there's a reason for it, there's an excuse for it, and if they get asked twice, then they can cry out that that's racism and gaslighting? Really? Really? Okay, great. This is a massive responsibility, one that we cannot clarify alone. Have you checked in? It's pretty important that you see us as human beings. Duh, everyone is human beings. Stop with the race baiting, stop with the division of color. That's a non-negotiable. White people need to admit that they often don't pay nearly as much attention to people of color's lives as they do to those of their white friends. No, I'm sorry, I don't need to admit that because it's not freaking true. Take a peek at our social media, if you have access and permission, or go on Google and do some research before you ask us for our labor. Life happens to everyone, and it is important to pay attention to us. Wait, so now I have to go into your social media, look at your life, see how busy you are before I ask you to do your job? Wow, are you kidding me? This is disgusting. Are you working with us or making us work for you? Well, once again, when you have a job, you work for someone unless you own that business. Labor, when it's done well at least, is an exchange. It is a transaction where both the needs of the person requesting labor and the person performing it are met. When asking for labor from people of color, white people, you need to remember that the balance of power between yourself and the person you are requesting labor from will always be unequal. Yeah, that's what work is called. Do you want us to be nice? White people, why is it so important for us to always be nice to you? Why does being nice even look like? Being nice to a white person means acting and behaving like a white person. Oh, I'm sorry, is that what nice is? Do you want to redefine the definition of nice? In case you forgot, we are not white. Many social activist spaces that center people of color and black people have a no white tears rule. Wow. This sort of rule is instilled because oftentimes in other spaces, your emotions and the emotions of other white people are constantly centered, nurtured, and coddled when it comes to conversations about race. I almost can't go on because this is the stupidest article I've ever read. Asking us to be nice to you is actually not nice of you. There is a difference between being civil and asking someone to go above and beyond in their emotional performance around you because of them being a person of color. Wow. So basically, it's wrong to ask a person who's being rude to you, who's not being nice or polite, it's wrong to now ask them to be nice. It's wrong to ask them to be civil or polite. That's considered racism. That's considered gaslighting. It's wrong now to ask a person of color to do their job. It's wrong to show us that we have needs because we have to meet their needs first, according to this article. Otherwise, it makes them feel that we're too powerful over them, and it can test their emotional capacity and make them feel triggered, the poor little weak things. So before you ask a person of color to do their job, make sure you check their social media, check their Facebook, see if they have anything going on with their family or their friends, see if they're having a social life that maybe might interfere with their job or their energy levels, and make sure you just don't ask them to do their job or demand that they do their job. Let them come, let them work on their own time. God forbid you get accused of racism or gaslighting because you asked them to do their job. What a bunch of baloney. Wow. Can you believe that? Like, I really, really, really have a hard time believing that's true, but it is true. And what's amazing is liberals are so much more racist than non-liberals. So much more racist because they identify people by their color of their skin. They're always talking in terms of white people this, white people that, people of color this, people of color that, indigenous peoples. Why not just say a person, a human being did this, an American did this? Because we don't care about the color of their skin. They go completely counter to Martin Luther King's dream. Conservatives only judge people by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin. We all bleed the same red blood. We are all Americans. We don't look at skin color or group they belong to. And it's a sad shame that liberals have taken us back 200 years and have gone backwards in time and now only want to focus on our divisions and the color of our skin instead of what we have in common, which is we are all Americans. Sad, sad, sad day. Anyways, crazy, crazy. Now let's move on to our guest, shall we? We have a wonderful guest today, Stephen Svoboda. I think I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Let's get him on. Just a second, folks. Just a second. We're going to throw this out there real quick. Okay, Stephen. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
Great, great. Let me put you on. There we go. All right, you're on. Can you see me okay? Can you hear me?
I can see you. Does it look okay on your end, the video?
Yes, you may want to tilt your camera down a little bit so we can see more of your body. Right now it's just kind of right here.
There we go. That's better, yeah. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Hi, welcome to Make Love Great Again. You are J. Stephen Svoboda. Am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
Svoboda.
Svoboda, okay. It's what kind of a name is it?
Slovak.
Slovak, okay, gotcha. Great, and you are the founder and executive director of Attorneys for the Rights of the Child. So why don't you just give a little more of an introduction there for the people that don't know you, and then I'm going to go ahead and ask you some questions.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, we met in London at this conference where I was talking about my organization. So For 22 years, I've been working with my organization to try to educate people that you don't need to circumcise your children. People know you don't need to do it to the females, and you also don't need to do it to the males. And so we've been working on that, trying to educate people. I went to the United Nations, and we're working with the UN again right now. We just submitted a report to them, and we put out a newsletter. We've been involved in lawsuits. I've published a couple hundred book reviews. My next one is going to be of your book, which we'll talk about in a minute. And so we've had a pretty wide range of activities. We published a list of all the cases that have been decided. There have been a lot of them that have been decided in favor of the person who was circumcised. And so, yeah, it's a little bit of an odd issue, but we think it's important to get the word out. That males also deserve to make a decision about their own bodies when they become adults.
Yes. So, yeah, we met at the conference, and I really enjoyed talking to you. I found that we had a lot of similar views, and I also gave you a copy of my book. And what I was fascinated with was I came in maybe the second half of the video of the circumcision, male circumcision. And I have 4 brothers, and I'm sad to say that they were all circumcised. Sorry, 4 brothers. I don't mean to put you on blast. Embarrassing for them. But yes, they were all circumcised because that was just, it's like the thing to do. You know, most of the time when you're in a hospital, you give birth, you get circumcised when you have, or your son gets circumcised if they're a boy in America, and you don't really think about it. It's just like kind of what you do. But after watching the video and after seeing your talk about it, I was so moved by it and really saddened by it because we don't even really think about it. Why are we practicing this very barbaric custom of genital mutilation, which that really is? And there's no real health benefits to it, right? There's no real reason for us to do this, but it is quite barbaric when you really think about it and when you really look into it and research more.
I agree with everything you said, and no, there was no health reason for it. There have been some claims, but nothing that stands up to scrutiny, as the Europeans, who are more objective than we are, have agreed. And I think it's a complicated issue, which is what makes it interesting. I mean, religion plays in a way because people who are adherents of Islam or Judaism, it's believed that it needs to happen to children, which I believe is incorrect because the child hasn't yet chosen their religion, and they have the right to make that decision. And quite likely upon reaching age 18, they will decide they want to be circumcised because that's what their religion does. But that's their decision to make, and the United Nations agrees on that, and also our laws agree on that. So, I mean, I think Judaism is a great religion, and I have had close exposure to it, and I don't know quite as much from personal experience about Islam, but Islam I know is one of the most popular religions, if not the most popular one in the world, and that doesn't give you the right to do something to another person without their consent.
Right.
Now, it's true that the parents sometimes agree to it, but the child never consents to it when it's somebody below the age of consent by definition. So, yeah, we just want people to have the ability to make their own decisions, and it's just how you put it. I mean, it's a simple issue. It can seem murky and complicated once you start getting at all these issues, and, of course, people don't want to offend anyone, and I don't want to either, and yet at the same time you've got these children, whether you be Jewish or Islamic or not, I mean, whether your parents are Jewish or Islamic or not. And I've had activists and non-activists who are of Jewish or Islamic heritage, and they come to me and they say, well, it would be anti-Semitic, it would be anti-Islamic to not protect children of Islamic or Jewish parents from circumcision. And I see their point. I do see their point.
It's strange to me because, like, I don't understand the benefits at all, really. I mean, it is pretty barbaric when you watch the video. I was, like, kind of traumatized by it. What are their reasons for doing it? And there also a lot more deaths than they report through circumcision. I mean, we kind of think, oh, it's just painless. You know, they have anesthetic and everything. It's painless. But it's the most sensitive area of a man's body. It's not really painless.
Right. So there's a study that just came out by Brian Earp and others about the death question. And we now, thanks to this new study, we have better information. And The funny thing about it is, and it's not funny, but the odd thing about it is that it's hard to get specific information on this practice, and that's another odd thing about it. But anyway, as best we can determine, the number of deaths per year in the U.S. attributable to circumcision is in the high 2 digits. So it's not 0, it's not 1,000, but every one of those 70 or 80 or 60 boys who die needlessly. And if you're a parent of one of those 60 or 70 or 80 kids, as I can say, being a parent of a boy and a girl myself, you don't care about the statistics. Your child is dead. And what's so tragic about it is they're dead completely needlessly. There is no medical benefit they are getting. And even if you believe these myths about HIV and other things, no baby who's 1 day old has sex. I mean, they can wait till they're 18 and get circumcised then to protect against HIV and other things. I mean, it just boggles the mind. You know, as Norm Cohen said like 20 years ago in this video that went out on PBS, I mean, we've been to the moon, and yet we're still doing this thing, and it's even more true now. We're still doing it. So let me tell you what happened when my son was born.
Okay.
I was really trying to be chill and downplay my activism. I was not going to go in as Mr. You know, activist into talk to the nurse about my son being born. The nurse kept asking me, do you want him to be circumcised? I kept saying no. I can absolutely guarantee you if I had said yes once, they would have done it and not asked me again. So I said no about 5 times. And after the 5th question, I said very mildly, you do realize there's no medical reason for this, right? And she quite chirpily said, oh, yes, I know. And I said, well, then, why are you asking me? And she said, oh, because the parents want it. But there's no other procedure that we do based on parental request without medical need. The whole thing is crazy.
But they make up lies. They say it's more sanitary or, you know, it's more healthy when you get circumcised, right? And that's actually not true.
It's totally not true. I mean, look, any body part needs hygiene. Cut off your left arm. You don't have to clean your left underarm. It's cleaner. It's healthier. Why don't people cut off their left arm? I don't understand. Your left arm is not needed. If you're right-handed, you do not need your left arm. Cut it off today. Everybody in this audience, cut your left arm off today to be safe and clean. Do it now.
It's so silly.
It's so laughable, and you get it, and a lot of people get it, and some people don't get it, and that's okay. I mean, when I first heard about this issue, I thought it was pretty weird, honestly, but the more you learn, the more you realize, well, there is something to it, and why don't we let children decide?
Well, I'm sure it's a lot more painful at 18 as an adult, you know, than when you're, you know, when your child probably would be scarier. I might say that they missed their window at 18, but hey, you know, at least they give their choice.
Well, actually, studies show that it's more painful for infants than it is when you do it older.
Oh, really?
And the only difference is the kids don't remember, and people use that to excuse it, but that's not an excuse. I mean, why does whether you remember it or not, you know, I mean, you still shouldn't be blaming whether the child remembers it or not.
Right, and the first moments when a child is born, to see it like screaming in utter pain like that, I imagine that can't be good spiritually. I imagine it retains some sort of spiritual memory. I don't know how much on the energetic field. There's got to be some traumatic effect that plays in a child's memory, that whether he consciously remembers it or not, that's still like the first moments of life, he's screaming in an utter pain. That doesn't feel good on a deep spiritual level to me.
Absolutely, you've said it very well. And let me just say one more thing, because there are other topics we want to address. I know, and I'm going to do my best to tie them all together. And I'm sure with you, DeAnna, I'm sure we can do that. But the one more thing that I want to say is, I know from very close personal experience, let me just say, that there are children who are intact, which is the word we use for not circumcised, who are quite full and complete members of religious communities, Jewish and Islamic communities. There's been no issue. You know, the rabbi has not been asking to look at their penis when they come into worship. You know, they've had bar and bat mitzvahs. I mean, it's not an issue, and rabbis have even spoken to it not being an issue, even in the Orthodox community. So, you know, I think that I'm not Jewish, I'm not Jewish and I'm not Islamic, and I think those communities have to make the decisions for themselves. And sometimes people who aren't Jewish or Islamic can lose sight of the big picture. So that's all I have to say about that.
That's great. Thank you, and I really, really appreciate your work.
Thank you. So now we want to talk about something else, which is your book, which I read in 2 days.
You read my book in 2 days.
Well, I was in London on the plane home, and I've reviewed about 200 books on masculinity and gender, various aspects of that in the past 22 years. Mm-hmm. And as far as I can remember, your book is pretty unique. I mean, it's not even that common to read books these days that are just basically positive and basically cheerleading for something. Mm-hmm. I think it's considered unfashionable. It's sort of the same with films. Film critics really rave about movies that are just positive and about some awesome person who had an amazing life. Mm-hmm. I think it's a little sad. I mean, and I think people maybe are dispirited, a lot of people. I mean, so I read your book. I think it's very inspiring.
Thank you.
I agree with your message. I think you had a lot of good points.
It wasn't all positive, though. The first half was actually kind of dark. Right?
That's true. Do you want to say a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, my actual fear, my worry was that it would be too dark, because the first half is the road to how we got to this crisis that we're at right now. What I call the romance apocalypse, which is men and women just on, kind of opposite sides as enemies, and no one's connecting, no one's wanting relationships or marriages anymore. How we got there, the kind of overall Marxist agenda, and, the sexual revolution, feminism, and all these kind of darker forces that all kind of created the perfect storm to how we got here. The war on men and masculinity and porn, right? And people just slowly drifting apart and not committing. That first half tends to bring, I've heard, a lot of tears to people and a lot of sadness and a lot of uncomfortable emotions. And I was worried that it would be too heavy or too dark. But I'm glad to hear you say that the second half of the book is a lot, it's inspiring and it's positive, because that was my true intention.
Right. Well, it's interesting to hear you say that. I guess I have a pretty positive view on things, because I did read that first half first, but I saw it as an overall positive book. Good. And so I went to London, also representing the National Coalition for Men, which is a generalist men's organization in the U.S., the leading one, and we've been going at it for more than 40 years. And so I went in that status, and your book really exemplifies a lot of the reason why I'm in NCFM, and I think your take on things is just so aligned with us and what we hope to do, and also with the London conference, which I know you've talked about. But I feel like, life is hard. There is difficulty, and men and women do have an embattled relationship these days, and that's true. And it's based on misunderstanding, and it's based on everybody sort of being in their corner, and it's honestly partly based on politics and on this. And what I feel is really sad, and I said this in the first question I asked in one of the early presentations at the conference. What I feel is really sad is people live their lives, and I believe that people do the best they can, and we're limited by laws, and we're limited by the forces in society. So people come in and they have these ideas in their head that I feel like feminism is so far from reality and the truth, but it's pervaded to such an extent that it really affects people's views, and it makes it hard for men and women to get close, because there's all these fears about, she's going to take advantage of me, or he's going to take advantage of me. And they're not crazy fears. I mean, they're definitely fears that have happened in the world for sure. But the world is a mix of good and bad. I mean, and let me just tell a little bit of my story, because I think it's relevant. Yes. I mean, I have two kids, age 16 and 13, and I just got married on Saturday. I went to London the week before my wedding, and then came back and had a wedding on Saturday, which was beautiful, amazing. My kids, my son played trumpet, and my daughter sang beautifully, and they both volunteered to do that. And people were weeping. I mean, people were so moved by it. I did this crazy break dance at age 58, because my knees are still in good shape. Yes. And anyway, it was just a beautiful event. But how did I get there? I mean, there's a number of answers to that. One answer is I dated 45 or so women, which was not my goal. My goal was not to amass a big number. The mother of the kids decided that she didn't want to be together anymore, so that was the beginning of the story. And then I started on a quest to find my life partner, and I had a lot of crazy experiences, and I think they were completely representative and completely fit in with your book. I mean, I had women who would go out with me and they would text me or email me like, "Wow, you're so awesome, you're so charming. That was the best first date I've ever been on in my life." And then they never wanted to go out again.
Right? It's like the weirdest thing. Right?
Were they lying? I mean, like there was this
so
one woman
weird.
I went out with like 30 years ago, and she told me later, like, "Oh, I didn't go out with you again because I was scared because the first date went too well." And I'm not trying to misrepresent here, too. There were definitely women who didn't like me. I'm not trying to play myself up as some great guy. I had a whole mix of experiences, very strange. But the thing about it was it was tiring. It was dispiriting. I mean, it was, you know, the 45 that I went out with, you can imagine that I contacted a lot more online, and it's a big process. And so it can be emotionally tiring.
Very frustrating.
It can be exhausting. And so I was able to keep in my vision the idea that there was somebody out there.
Good.
Basically keep in mind DeAnna's book, which I hadn't read yet and possibly didn't exist yet, didn't exist yet. And eventually, by being persistent, you know, I went online, I went out with 45 women, 44 of whom I met online. There's only one that I didn't meet online, who happens to be somebody who knows DeAnna. But funnily enough, but anyway, and then I was trying to get this woman I was going out with online to go to me to this film that was being shown about my work that I've talked about, the Red Pill movie, and she didn't want to go. She was busy. We'd gone out 2 nights in a row, and she wanted to take a night off, which I totally understand. So I went by myself, and I met the love of my life in person when I wasn't expecting to. I went to the movie because I was in the movie, and I was in the question and answer afterwards, and she came up to me, and we hit it off, and that was it. You know, I came home that night and said to my roommate, "I'm done. I've met my beloved. This is it. I don't have to go out with anybody more. I'm so happy."
You just felt it that first night, right?
Yeah. And 16 months later, we got married. 17 months later, I guess it was.
And congratulations. You just had a wedding on Saturday, so that's just like, you're a newlywed now.
I'm a newlywed. We had a one-day honeymoon. So my grandfather, 90 years ago, got a job at the Palace Hotel in San Francisco, just walked in, came here from Oklahoma on a Model T chassis because they couldn't afford a Model T, which crashed, and they hitchhiked, and they got to San Francisco, and he walked into the Palace Hotel and got a job as a busboy. So 90 years later, we stayed at the Palace Hotel, which is very expensive, but very nice, and had a one-day honeymoon. We're going to have a longer one in the Maldives next year. But,
good.
But yeah, it's great. I mean, every day is better than the best day before I met her. We're such great partners. We even have a lot of conflict in our lives right now, but we just managed to get through it in a way that is amazing. And I really think men and women people don't realize like what gold there is. I mean, I'm sure DeAnna knows this famous saying somebody said about how amazing it is when you really have good love, but it's really remarkable. It's better than my dreams. It really is.
Wow.
It really is better than I dreamed of. And when
it
that happens,
enhances your
really
life,
great.
right?
Yeah. So people should. I would like to inspire other people to. Not everybody wants a partner necessarily, but those who do, really inspire you to just be persistent and believe, because it's not easy, but it can be done. And DeAnna talks about a lot of the barriers to why it's not easy these days.
Thank you, because there are a lot of MGTOWers and a lot of guys in my community too that are just so skeptical. They've been through that same ringer that you've been through, and I've been through too. No one's safe from it. I'm a dating and relationship expert, and I'm not even safe from it. You know, no one's safe from it these days. You still, there's just weirdos right now, and we've lost our values. The culture is a big part of the problem. So you can be the best looking, best person out there with the best set of skills, but still people are just, a lot of them are strange these days, and they don't want to commit, or they commit and then they get scared and all these weird things. So, but when you can be persistent and you actually get that one, all it takes is one great love, one great person, and everything else just stops mattering. And it really does, I think, and it just really enhances your life. And you don't worry so much about, oh, is this person going to take advantage of me? Or, you know, I'm sacrificing so much by giving. By giving, you receive. You know, a lot of people have this conflated mentality that giving is a bad thing these days, or you give and that means sacrifice. It's very strange and sad. Instead of this giving magnanimously, which is what we used to be, like just giving and loving and knowing that men and women complement each other, and we both give so much back that you don't see it as giving like sacrifice. You see it as giving, but you're getting so much back.
Yeah, exactly. It's a totally different mentality. It's not this mentality of, oh, I have to.
Like
And I've seen people with lists of like 30 things that they want in a partner, and hey, I had things I wanted in a partner too, and I just think, how do I say it? Like, there's nothing wrong with knowing that there are certain things you need in a partner. At the same time, if you go into it with a laundry list, you're sort of setting yourself up for failure because you're looking at characteristics and not at a human being. I mean, okay, here's one thing really good for me to say. Gina and I each had qualities that were complete deal breakers on our list of what we wanted in another partner.
Really?
I was still married. I was completely separated, but I was still legally married. The process wasn't terminated yet. It finished about 3 months after we met. And I wasn't able to have kids, and she wanted to have a kid. And her deal breaker for me was that she wanted to have kids, and I'd gone through a process where I decided that I wasn't going to do that anymore. Well, but since we met in person, we were able to make the decision to try things and to work these things out. And we did work these things out, and we found a solution despite an apparent irresolvable conflict.
Wow.
And we would not have done that if we'd met online. It was only in person, and we both had to have the faith that this could be figured out. So I think there's a lot of mythology, as there also is with the circumcision issue, and things that keep us from thinking and from being whole people who can work things out for ourselves.
Yeah. I love that a lot of times we do need to kind of throw the list out the window and go with faith and go with a feeling, because feeling sometimes it overrides logic. And I've been in relationships before too where it seems like there's these conflicts or maybe certain things are not there on paper, but I just feel like this could work. It's a feeling, and sometimes you have to really trust, I think, that feeling.
I agree. And it's not just for relationships; it's for every aspect of life. Like, I don't know. I speak for myself. The more that I trust my own wisdom, and the more that I stop doubting myself and nitpicking myself, the happier I am, and the more successful I am.
I love that. I think that's fantastic wisdom for every situation.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for shedding some hope and excitement and some life with our viewers. I'm sure they're really appreciative of it, because I really like spreading messages of positivity in this world of darkness, and know that even people who are skeptical, you can get love, and love can really enhance your life. It really is a game changer. Life is kind of dull without love.
It enriches life so much, and I had a rich life already, but it enriches life so much. And I just want to say, I mean, your book's great, and I'm probably a lot of the audience has already read it, but for those who haven't, I really encourage you to read it, because we need more messages like this, and life is short, and having a partner just incredibly enriches things if you're someone who wants a partner, which a lot of us do.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the review, and thank you so much for being on my show. We're going to have you back for sure.
Oh, great. That'd be great. I'd love to come back. Yeah, there's a whole other topics we haven't even delved into.
I know. Yeah. You're a man of many topics and facets. How can people find you if they want to find you or connect with you?
The website of my organization is arclaw.org, arclaw.org. There's an email there, and also at the other organization, which is ncfm.org, National Coalition for Men.org, either of those. And you might want to look at the organizations anyway and just see what you think. I mean, neither of them is politically liberal nor conservative. We welcome all comers, and I actually value the diversity that we have.
Okay, great. Well, I will be flashing your website and your Twitter handle. You have a Twitter handle?
We're just developing that, yes.
Okay.
I have the liability that I'm 58 years old, but we're just developing that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just let me know, and then
I'll get that to you.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for having us on, or for coming on, and cheers to you and your wife.
Thank you. Cheers to you.
Too. I'll talk to you soon, okay? We'll be in touch.
Great. Take care.
All right, bye. All right, we're back, guys. Let's go out of the interview room. We're back. So, cool guy, right? Yeah, we hung out at the men's conference in London last week. Had a great time. Got to know some wonderful people, and he's one of them. And then I came to find out that he actually knows my aunt. And my aunt Maria Sanchez has had a radio show on and off on KFI, and he was on her radio show quite a bit actually too, which was really funny. We just found that out yesterday. So yeah. So guys, you heard it. Love happens sometimes when you least expect it, but never give up. This is why MGTOW is so sad to me, because you're completely giving up. Don't give up. Don't call yourself a MGTOW, because that's just waving your own white flag. Silly. It's like retiring your penis, you know? Don't retire your penis. Don't. There's a woman out there who's going to love it. Don't retire your balls. There's a girl out there that's going to love them. Don't retire your heart, because there's a girl out there that's just going to want to love it and appreciate it. All it takes is one. And believe me, even when you go through years of looking and horrible dates, etc., and then you just meet one that clicks, everything just moves quickly. Everything moves forward quickly. Everything progresses, and it becomes easy, and it is a game changer. So don't give up. Just keep your heart open, but also keep yourself busy. Like what my book says, doesn't mean just because you want to make love great again and you have that hope and goal for yourself, it doesn't mean that you stop focusing on you. Just have that as a goal. Keep your heart open a sliver, and then keep yourself busy doing things that also make up your badass life. Go do things that you love. Go skydiving. Go learn a new skill. Go on trips. Keep your life full and busy with friends and things that you love doing, because you are going to meet women when you're doing what you love. And when you're feeling in love with yourself and with your life, it radiates, it magnetizes women to you. And what Darren Diogi said the other day, the Scottish guy, you are, as a man, you're in charge of your own charge. And if you don't take charge of your own charge, it goes out. It extinguishes it. It's not live. It's just like this lifeless nothing inside of you that like needs to be charged. When you have a computer, you need to charge it. If you don't charge it, it dies. If you don't charge your own charge, it dies. And women can't find you and they can't gravitate towards you if you're lifeless inside and you don't take charge of your own charge. So keep your own charge charged as a man. Do badass things with your life. Keep your heart open a little bit for finding great love. And your great love is going to happen. And then follow the principles of making love great again, by the way. Whoops. Because there are some really awesome principles for men, specifically for men, for making love great again and for winning at relationships with women. And if you follow these practices, I can almost guarantee you that within a year, you will find an incredible woman. And for a woman, you will find an incredible man. You'll find an incredible partner. It is a real thing, the law of attraction, Jeff. Yes, it's a really big thing. You guys just got to stay positive. And if you have any questions, contact me. Schedule a mock date with me. Schedule a coaching session with me. Please, guys, don't be shy. Schedule me. Go to my website at DeAnnaLorraine.com and set up a free coaching session with me, or free consultation to set up your coaching, and I'll work through it with you. I'll figure out what is missing in your game, what's missing in your physical appearance, what's missing in your personality, your energy, your masculinity, your body language, everything. There's so many little nuances that I discuss that when we just adjust those nuances, all of a sudden it's a game changer. All of a sudden you start attracting more women, and women respond better to you, and you start attracting more women. And for women, you start attracting more men. So schedule a mock date with me over Skype. It's going to be great. I help so many people every day with this. Or if you want to revive your relationship with an ex or a girl that somehow got away that you really love, then make sure you also schedule a Get Your Girl Back coaching program with me. That's one of my favorite coaching programs to do, because I love winning and I like getting results, and getting your girl back is one of the fastest ways that I get results with my clients. So anyways, yes, coaching on relationships and dating is what I do. It's my specialty. If you are in a relationship, that's one of the best times to even get coaching with me, because you don't want to lose that relationship. So just make sure. Unfortunately, my coaching is not for free. There is a price to it. That's my business. But go to my website at DeAnnaLorraine.com. and schedule a coaching session with me or book a consultation to learn more about my coaching and matchmaking services. All right, I love you. And now on to the prayer. You're amazing, and thanks for hanging through those weird, awkward conversations that we have to do sometimes. And by the way, I feel like our prayers are working. Prayers work, and I think they're working. Dear Lord, I pray that more women and men see the light and can open their hearts to love instead of hate, can open their hearts to unity rather than divisiveness, can open their minds to truth rather than lies. I pray for love and protection for our great President Trump and his family and all those working for us, that they remain safe and resilient in the face of so many forces working against them. I pray for all of you and the truth warriors of the world who are courageously speaking the truth and boldly working to bring those who are in the darkness into the light. Put on the full armor of God so that you will be able to stand firm against the schemes of the devil. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the powers, against the world forces of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly places. I pray that all of you find true and lasting love. Yes, that's you. And that God puts an incredible partner in your life to be with you during this journey, and me, and bring you the beautiful family, the love, the joy, and all the blessings that you deserve. And lastly, we know that good conquers evil, that love conquers hate, and that together, with God's help and grace, we're able to make our country and our world great again. Amen. All right, guys, great show today. I love you, and you are amazing, as usual. And I will just end you with a little something. Most people are embarrassed about not being successful in this. Yes, but they shouldn't be embarrassed. Just get a hold of me, because if you have a coach in your golf or your guitar lessons, you can have a coach in this. It's nothing to be ashamed of. You would be surprised how many people get coaching.
We're in the middle of a romance apocalypse. There are more.
Okay, I'll leave you with this. God bless you guys, and God bless America.
Merry Christmas, right? Merry Christmas. That was under siege. You'd have these big department stores that say Happy Holidays. They say, where's the Merry Christmas? Now they're all putting up Merry Christmas again.
We can say Merry Christmas again.
And that's only because of our campaign. And by the way, the evangelicals and Paula White, Pastor Paula White, the evangelicals have been so amazing to us. They came out and they voted 84% and double and triple the numbers that ever voted in an election before. We love the evangelical Christians. If you want safety, if you want borders, if you want to have a country, then you need to go out and vote Republican. And very importantly, you need to go out and vote for Ron DeSantis for governor of Florida. The lobbyists and special interests fighting against my administration, many of them are globalists. They care what happens in other countries. I care what's happening in the